All right. Let me say a big good morning to you all. Hopefully we are coming through okay to you all. Can you all hear us? Okay.
Yeah.
Hi everyone, I'm Elisa. I've not met all of you, I don't think, so it's lovely to see you here this morning. Thank you for joining us.
All right, guys, first of all, as all very valued members of APPI, let me first of all just start by saying a big thank you for joining us for our first ever Founders Coffee morning. We thought it was just a really good chance to sit and have a chat to you guys, really. We don't get around to see as many of our members as we once did. So we're trying to think of ways that we can just share some time, share some knowledge, and we thought this might be a nice way of going about it. Let me give you the sort of rough parameters of how we think this is going to work. First and foremost, we want it just to be an honest, open, casual chat, really. We've got a cup of tea, coffee here. Hopefully you've got something for yourself, maybe even a water today. And we'll just go through some of the questions that have been sent in to us to kick us off. And then if you've got a question, please either put the question in the chat, or if you're happy to, just unmute yourself and shout out your question. And then we just really want to interact with you guys as much as we can. So hopefully that makes sense. Hopefully that works for you guys. And I'm delighted that actually the first question we have here on our sheet that's been submitted, I can see on the screen right in front of us. Ruth Reed, I can see you right there. You've put a question into us. Ruth, are you happy to unmute yourself and kick us off?
Hi guys.
Hey.
Hi Ruth, thanks for your question.
That's no problem. I've just realised my battery is low, so I have to grab my lead in a minute and plug it in. Yes, my question, I just thought randomly this morning, and it's something that's been burning for a little while actually, is I've been teaching for, oh gosh, quite a while now, a few years, about 14, 15 years. And I've been thinking, how can I sustain the sort of good reputation that I've been told I have, and I feel I know I have. And continue that good practice in combination with the APPI support, aside of all the general things like, keeping up with your teaching, sort of refreshing your knowledge, and things like that generally. I don't know if, you've got any suggestions that can help me with that, would be good.
Yeah, well, first of all, congratulations. Running your group classes and your one-to-ones as well as group classes, is it, Ruth?
Yes.
Yeah, so you've been running for you've got a really well-established, business now and clientele. So first of all, well done, because it's a hard slog to get to that point.
Yes.
And I think given that you're, here at 15 years down the track with your clients, I think first to recognize what you're doing is working brilliantly. I think we're quite, sometimes we can be quite bad at stopping and reflecting on that. So first of all, do take a moment to reflect on what a great job you're obviously doing, because that is a really great achievement to yourself. So well done. And then, it's a really good question, because there's so many aspects, I think, of delivering an experience to our clients, as Pilates teachers and physios teaching Pilates. I think really for me, what I've learned over the years is that it comes down to many different factors, but overwhelmingly valuing the clients that you have. The clients that we have are everything to us, aren't they? They're the ones who allow us to keep doing what we do every day and loving our job of teaching people better movement and better lifestyle and better wellness practices. So for me and my team in clinics, what we like to do is we like to go back to, let's get back to what are we doing for our clients? Are we really showing them how much we value them? Because, we're pretty confident that we're good at Pilates. We're pretty good at, you know, teaching a great class and getting people having a really good Pilates class, but are we going the extra mile in regards to their overall experience? And I think that's what's really important for me now, and even more so after the pandemic. People are really mindful and making very deliberate choices over who they go to. So it's a good question to ask. So for me, like I say, it's getting back to, am I showing our clientele how much they mean to us? So it's looking at their journey from when they arrive at APPI all the way through. So welcoming the new client is obviously a hugely important moment when they've, a new client is joining you in your class, your studio, and really well planning that in advance. You know what it's like when you've got a new client. It's like, right, guys, everybody be ready. Mr. Johnson's going to be coming up the stairs in 5 minutes time. It's his first time at APPI. Let's make it really special for him. And it's the little touches as he's walking in the door, he's getting a smile, he's being put at ease by a really welcoming sort of entrance in the door. And then obviously delivering a really great technical session to him. It's the follow-up for us. So what do we then do once Mr. Johnson's left our studio for the day? What's going to be our first touch point? And we always send out to our new clients within the first day or two, a thank you for choosing APPI. We're so grateful that you've trusted us on your wellness experience. We're really looking forward to helping you achieve your goals, etc., etc. We actually do have at that point a super brief feedback form as well, and it's literally a 5-question, and each of the questions are really quick to answer. 5-star rating. Overall, how was your first experience at APPI today? Overall, how would you rate your welcome at reception? Overall, how do you rate your Pilates instructor? Would you recommend us? Please, it would mean the world to us if you could provide us with any more feedback. And I think that's a really helpful way, obviously, for you to get valuable information, but also for them to feel like, okay, great, these people really care what I think here. I've only been here once and they're already touching base with me. But then there's other things that you can do throughout their journey here. So we have a look at their birthday dates, and we are sending out a little birthday treat, a little birthday message from all of us. Something new that we're looking at, that we're just introducing, is for our class client, celebrating their class milestones. So when people have attended maybe 50 classes or 100 classes or whatever you want to celebrate, I think that's a really nice little personal touch that the clients are enjoying as well, knowing that we're really watching them individually as well as a group. Things like what to do if you notice that someone has dropped off. Are we scooping these people back up with a, hey, we've missed you, we'd love to see you again, why don't you pop in for a class, maybe at a discount? So it's constantly, for me, looking at making sure the clients feel valued, because of course when they do, that's when they start telling their neighbours, their friends, their family. And I'm sure you've experienced, and I'm sure all of you are very familiar with this, but your word of mouth referral basis is just so hugely valuable. I mean, for us in our clinics, it's as high as 85-90%. So I think, I think again, for me, it comes back to really valuing the client. I guess one other thing I would say is, you can feel after having taught for so long that you want to inject a bit of freshness from time to time and a couple of new different offerings. And so that's what we do. So from time to time, we do schedule in workshops. We'll schedule in a masterclass. We might schedule in a guest teacher. And they're not always, funnily enough, they're not always as well attended as I would like. I get very excited by the idea of a special workshop or a dive deep session, but it's more the invitation and it's more the offering, I think, to show people that you're keeping it fresh. You are sort of looking out the box. You're giving those who want the opportunity to try something a little bit different. I think that's me. I've probably talked for long enough.
Yeah. Ruth, hopefully that's given you some thoughts there, whether it be new ideas or just a sort of confirmation of some of the stuff you might already be doing yourself as well. I guess from my point of view, just summarizing a little bit what Lisa said, I think just finding something that gives a little bit extra to you that maybe other people aren't doing, and keep searching for that little bit extra. Some of my guys in head office, I can see on the screen here, and they'll know exactly what I'm going to say here, because I love these various sayings for the team. And one we've had since the time we opened the business was the difference between ordinary and extraordinary is that little bit extra. And we keep trying to find that somehow. And they are little things like greeting somebody by their name the first time they walk into the studio, because they're booked in. You know, there's no excuse for somebody not knowing who they are. They're booked in, they're on the screen, you know the time, you see the buzzer, you know that that's happening. So I think that is important. I think experience for the client is really valuable. Sometimes we can be very focused on the technicality of our teaching, but I do think the experience of a client coming to your venue is very important, and that's the whole team, and the whole team buying into your values and your ethos and your culture system. In a way, I think your question here has sort of two parts to it. The good reputation side, I think we've covered there. You've also asked about teaching practice with my clients, and I think that's a really interesting part of your question. And I'm not going to proclaim that we're the best at this, but certainly over the last probably 6 to 8 years, we've really tried to find the time for ourselves to keep up our own practice. I think when you're in the midst of building your business, sometimes you become very much someone that teaches Pilates and doesn't necessarily do as much Pilates. And in order to keep up the quality of your teaching practice, it's scheduling that time, whether it be getting up a little bit earlier. A big part of, for example, what we look at with the Pilates TV offering that we have is looking at providing ideas for teachers. And hopefully, that your teaching practice can be aided by the content and the variability. And I guess, rather than it just being all about the client, a lot of the content we have on there is trying to give ideas and refreshment and practice to our teachers as well. So I know it's not probably something new, but it's important that we keep doing our own practice. And if we're not good at self-doing that, then finding a way, join a class, join something that can give you that motivation, that inspiration, something like that. And it is really important, I think. So Ruth, I hope that's somewhat answered your question there.
Yes, thank you very much.
All right, well, first, thank you as well. First person off the rank on our first ever coffee morning. So we appreciate your contribution there.
Thanks.
Aisha, we can see you,
yeah.
So that's cool. Hopefully we can answer your question. So Aisha's question here is, how do you manage to run everything, i.e. the business and the family every day? Apart from Pilates, how do you cope with the stress and juggling of it all? Go for it.
Okay, it's a $1 million question, isn't it? I think everybody is striving for this always. I actually don't believe in the fact that you strike a balance, because I think we can strive for that forever and never feel like we achieve it. So I kind of move away from that way of thinking, because I just feel I'm never going to succeed on that front. I think I'm lucky in that most of the time, I'm not going to say all the time, I'm being honest here, but most of the time it doesn't feel like work for me. Okay, so I don't get up in the morning and think, oh God, I've got to go into the studio, or I'm not there watching the clock ticking down until whatever time it is that I'm leaving for the day. I think most of us, and I hope I'm speaking correctly here, but I think thankfully most of us love what we do so much that a lot of the time it doesn't necessarily feel like a job. So I think that's really helpful, and I think it puts us ahead of the start line, so to speak, a little bit. So I think, finding whatever it is that you just love doing is just a huge, huge help. Like I said, I don't think I ever balance things necessarily well. I like to focus more on prioritizing and I think I've gotten better at that over the years, at really prioritizing the things that are most meaningful, the things that are achievable in a certain time frame and are going to give me the bigger yield. Because as you know, like sometimes you can work on something can suck hours out of your day or week, and it's a tiny little thing within the bigger puzzle. So I think I've also become better at recognizing what are the puzzle pieces that matter and putting more energy and time into those puzzle pieces, and accepting the little pieces are just going to have to either be put aside or actually put away for good. You can't do everything. There is that point where you recognize it. Okay, I just can't do it all. This is more important. This means more to me. This is going to create better energy, better outcomes for everything that we're trying to achieve. So that's where I'm gonna put my energy right now. I think, yeah, and I think too, it's worth recognizing that, for those of you who are running your own businesses, maybe setting up your own businesses, it is just a lot of hard work in the outset, isn't it? It's a lot of hard work. There's just no way about it. It's the only way to build something. But then once you're over the initial, for me, it's always sort of that initial 2-year period is really, it's a hard grind. And then it does get easier. Everything starts to pay back. All of your hard work on the prep, the processes, the procedures, the policies, the admin processes, they all start to even out. They start to smooth out, and you do start to find your way, easier. So yeah, keep on working at it for those hard initial years, and the rewards do pay off. And then I think it does start to feel like more, okay, this isn't such a job. Okay, I've gotten to where I am. I can now keep on enjoying it more. And again, sort of recognizing the parts of what you do that you really enjoy and trying to do more of those when you can. And I know that sounds really simple, but I think it's a good thing to keep in mind, and also to work to your strengths. Something else I would say I've become much better at as I've gotten older and run the business for longer is recognizing that's just not my skill set. Okay, I'm just going to have to get someone else to do that. And it's hard if it involves money, because, sometimes you have to pay, and it's whether or not you can or can't do that. But if it's an area that, you really know is not your forte and you're going to waste hours and days on it, trying to look at how you can get someone else to help you with that. I think that's, yeah. I don't know, I think that's for me. What do you think? Yeah,
it's similar. Let me look at your question in its two parts, Aisha. Yeah, if we can. How we manage to run everything, the business and the family every day. I think the truth to that is we do the very best we can each and every day. And at the end of that day, for me, I've learned very much to accept that I did the very best I could today. Now, I've also learned that means other people may not necessarily share that view, because their concept of what is very important today in their piece of what is a much bigger puzzle may be very important to them. But as long as I know that at the end of each day, I've given everything I possibly can to all the various demands that are on our time, and accepting that means I will let some people down, but also that's okay, because we have to keep in mind the bigger picture. And a lot of people that work within the organization, their piece of the puzzle is very important to them. And I understand that, and I can appreciate that, but I also can't achieve every single thing that other people want. I have to try to understand and accept that I'm going to do the very best I can today, and I have to be happy with that at the end of the day. Because if I keep thinking about other people and what other people's demands might want from me, that might not be feasible, because to achieve that, maybe I've not been there for one of the children. And that balance is something that I think one has to learn. I think we have been very, very fortunate, in all honesty, that we've had the privilege of doing it together, because we can accept and balance that off. And I think we've been somewhat successful. over the many years of appreciating who may need more priority at that time for what's happening within the businesses. When I reflect down to when our eldest two were very little, I was traveling around the world a lot and I wasn't there very much, and Lisa was having to do everything here while I went off and built the international side of the business. Now, coming out of the pandemic, it's been very clear that the clinical business, which is what Elisa runs, has been the much more demanding part of what we have to do. So I know that I've had to prioritize giving a bit more time from the children's point of view and here to allow Lisa to have the freedom to do what she needs to do at that time. So I think we've been fortunate that we've had that balance, that we can, and the understanding that at one stage, there probably is somebody that has to take a slightly more priority. And that's, again, keeping that bigger picture in mind. But I think the overwhelming thing that I will probably share on that basis is you will never, ever keep everyone happy. So if you're trying to achieve that, then you're setting yourself up for disappointment, and keep faith that you created this, you set the vision and the tone, and you want to be surrounded by the people that share that and will help you get there. And there's sometimes you have to make some tough decisions, but surround yourself with really good people that share your vision and want you to be successful. And those that may not share that vision, sometimes you have to accept that, okay, we're just on a different path. Thank you very much. But, we're moving in this direction, and that may not involve a particular person at that time. And you have to be brave enough to do that, but keep people that share your vision and allow you the time to do what you need to do on that. Second part of your question, I will address quite quickly. How do you cope with the stress and juggling of it all? I enjoy running, as you can tell by the redness of my face right now on the screen. I did the school run, came home, put a quick 10K in, came back in to jump on here. So I enjoy running. That's my release. Lisa, you do various forms. Of course, we do our Pilates, and we're fortunate to have a reformer out in our little home gym here. But yeah, doing something that is different. For me, it's running. People have different things, but I think it's really important you find something that can take you away from what you're doing each and every day, from that sort of stress and juggle part.
Yeah, definitely. And for me, it is Pilates. I don't know if you were expecting that or not, but yeah, my stress relief is definitely taking myself to do a Pilates session, but most importantly, not filming it. It's not for APPI TV, it's not for Instagram, not filming it, it's just actually my workout. And there's a big difference, I think. So, otherwise you can get into that trap of, oh, well, I'm doing my workout anyway, why don't I just film it for content? Because we're always looking for content, but actually for me, it's quite therapeutic. I unplug all my devices and I do a Pilates session, or I run as well. But yeah, that keeps me going.
All right, very good. Well, hopefully that answered your question somewhat. Thank you, appreciate that. Now, before we get to the next set of questions on here, why don't I throw it out? Is there anyone that's live on here that would like to unmute themselves and throw a question out at us this morning? Yeah, scrolling through.
Oh yes, Emma.
Emma.
Thanks, Emma.
Hi, thank you. It was just linked to some of the answers to your other questions. It just got me thinking. Have you ever thought about doing any workshops or any little CPD modules around marketing or the business side of running Pilates?
Thank you, Emma, for your question. And to answer it, we are always thinking of different things that we can do. We are both actually working away on something a little bit along those lines. And it's, for me, it comes from a place of often feeling as a small business owner in our industry, actually pretty unsupported, present company excluded. But I just personally feel we take on a lot as if it's your business. There's not always the time nor the connections nor the opportunity to have a sounding board, have a mentor in our industry, and we're learning constantly from our mistakes. And whilst that is important, a little bit of help at sometimes would save a lot of hard times. So yeah, it's something that is really resonating with me at the moment, because I think that if I had someone in our sort of industry to sit down with and talk to more, it would be hugely valuable. So that is something that we are definitely looking at doing. So please do send me any of your thoughts, because I will definitely look over everything there and consider what you're thinking are. But yeah, I think more industry specific support for us, who, let's face it, I think almost all of us come from a background, a non-business background. We don't have the credentials, the qualification, training to run a business. All of a sudden we're hit potentially with employment law issues, HR, health and safety, pricing, website, e-marketing. I mean, the list just goes on and on, doesn't it? So it's something that I would really like to see as an offering for all of us, because I think we would all potentially really benefit from it. So it's a really good thought, Emma.
Brilliant, thank you. That's music to my ears.
I mean, look, you have, yeah, you've jumped ahead of the game here for us, but I guess while it's out there, we may as well throw it out to you guys and let us know what you think, because we're contemplating whether we do like a business coaching type service, where if you want us to come and spend a day with you or an hour with you or a few hours with you and just go over what you're doing and how you're doing it, and if there's anything from our 23 years, I think it is now, running these types of businesses that we could help, then maybe we can. We've got a pretty good network in terms of marketing and accounts and contracts and what have you that we can sort of put out there. So not something that we have ready to go or anything, but it's just something we've been talking about probably over the last 8 to 12 months, as we've been searching for certain bits of advice and seeking help. And we're like, wow, there's just not much industry specific here, is there? And we're talking to people that are sometimes giving us advice that have never actually done it. And they're like, oh, well, you should do it like this. And it's like, okay, so where's that come from? Because that sounds extremely corporate to me. And we're not a corporation, we're a small business. How does that thinking resonate within this world? So yes, that is something we've sort of written down, got a few ideas, thrown a few things around, but if any of you guys out there listening to this think that might be beneficial, then please do let us know. And if there is interest, then maybe we can speed it up a little bit.
Yeah, definitely let us know what you would most benefit from. What aspects are you finding most challenging and would reach out for help on if you knew it were there? That would be really helpful.
Very cool. Thank you, Emma. All right, let's have a quick scroll through. Anyone else, if you want to just, you can put your question in the chat as well if you don't want to actually come onto the screen and ask. Can't see, let me go right through and then I'll go to some of the questions that are here. All right, so, and guys, as we go and as we have conversations, if something sparks your thought, do throw a question down into the chat and we can address that for you. But the next question we have here, there's a really good question I thought might be interesting from our Facebook support group as well, from Hannah. Hannah writes here that she's been contemplating getting a reformer for ages and have finally decided to make the investment. Due to space constraints, she's thinking Allegro or Allegro 2, as I think that both of these can be stored upright. We'll answer that question because they can't both be stored upright. Mostly be using it by myself with the occasional one-to-one with Pilates or osteopathic patients. My questions are, what are the advantages of one over the other? So we're talking Allegro versus Allegro 2 with this question here. Looking on the Balanced Body website doesn't reveal much other than the two being slightly more attractive. That's the Allegro 2 being more attractive. But there's around £1,000 difference between the two. So what do you get for that? You want to tackle that one?
So it's a really good question. It's a big investment when you're first looking at your, buying some equipment. I'm sure a lot of you have sort of already been in this situation and trying to think of what's going to be the best purchase for me. So for Balanced Body, there is multiple reformers available, as you would have seen if you jumped on their site. The Allegro and the Allegro 2. So the Allegro is the slightly older version. It's the black framed model. Now that is designed to be stored upright. So if you've got a space that's going to be multi-purpose, then the original Allegro is what you want. Because as I say, it is designed to be stored upright. Always check your ceiling height. It's surprising how tall these machines are when they're upright. The Allegro 2 is the prettier looking machine. It's the white one. So it does look fancier. It looks beautiful. We've got quite a few different machines, which gives us sort of good eyes into the various advantages and benefits from them all. The Allegro 2, the prettier one, can't be stored upright. So obviously you need the floor space for that. And in my experience so far, the Allegro 2 is a lot harder to service than the Allegro. So for those of you who've got your equipment, you know that you've got to do sort of your equipment checks on a regular basis, just to check all the screws are intact, the ropes aren't wearing, the springs aren't kinking, etc., etc. We do a monthly rota check in the studios, and we check all the various components of each of our machines. Our checklist is based on the Balanced Body Garage video clips. I don't know if any of you have used those or found them interesting, but if you are thinking of developing like a maintenance check for your machines, the Balanced Body Garage video clips are really helpful. You have to summarize, you have to watch the whole thing and summarize it, but it does go through very, very clearly what components of your equipment you need to be checking on a monthly basis. And with the Allegro, it's very easy because all the parts are exposed. It's easy to see everything you need to be checking. With the Allegro 2, the new prettier machines, it's harder to see the components, and it's definitely harder to correct something when it goes wrong, is the only thing to bear in mind. So you need someone in your pocket who is like an engineer, like a plinth maintenance professional, who can also potentially service your Pilates Allegro 2. Because as a Pilates instructor and a physio, it's just not possible. I've been there when the guys are doing it. It's a two-man job. You got to flip the machine on its side and completely upside down a lot of the time. And, you know, I've had to have wheels replaced and components replaced by a professional for the Allegro 2 compared to the Allegro you could do it yourself. So that's probably something worth factoring in. But of course, there's also options outside of Balanced Body, which might be attractive as well, which you know a little bit more about.
Yeah, I think it's you know, it's worthwhile if you're looking at the investment to have a look around. I think Balanced Body are great. Balanced Body make great equipment. But the Align Pilates, which is a UK company, and they're cheaper. You don't have the quite large import duties and shipping taxes on that. Balanced Body at times can be a little cheeky in that they say that they've got stuff in their UK warehouse, so you don't have to pay the shipping charges. And then they stick a UK warehouse storage charge on the invoice instead, which interestingly enough is quite similar to the shipping charge if it was going to come from the US anyway. So just really ask about those prices up front. The Align Pilates machines, in terms of the Allegro, the Align Pilates machines are quite comparable, I would say. The only things to think about on the Align Pilates reformer that matches the Allegro, I can't think of its name right off, I think they might call it AR2. It's a lot heavier than the Allegro. That's the one thing to consider. So if you are planning to store it upright, moving it around is much more difficult than the Allegro from Balanced Body, which is a bit lighter. Key thing on that as well, and the Balanced Body will tell you this, just sometimes it's one of those things I see people doing incorrectly a lot, is if you are storing the Allegro upright, you've got to get the foot bar in the right position to make it safe when you store it upright. So it's in position 2 and 2. So 2 on the bottom section and 2 on the angle of the foot bar, and that will allow it to stand up safely. So just make sure you're doing that. The Align Pilates machine, it's a little wider in its carriage than the Allegro. So if, for example, you've got clients that require that additional space, that could be beneficial. Sits slightly higher as well, so that's something to think about for people getting on and off your machines, depending on your clientele. But conversely, the actual, the mat itself, the carriage is quite a bit harder than the Allegro or the Allegro 2. And so we've tried all of these machines in our studios. The feedback was generally a lot of our older clients didn't like the Align Pilates machine as much because they found it too hard. However, they enjoyed its width and they enjoyed its height. So you can sort of balance that out depending on what you're looking for. You might decide to just put a mat over the top of it. But one other point that Lisa was pointing out earlier when we were looking at some of these is also timing is something to consider. Because if you're ordering from Balanced Body, you can be waiting 12 to 16 weeks sometimes to get your equipment in. So if you're taking on a new lease and you're expecting to open on a certain time, you have to plan that into your logistics in terms of your opening as to, is your equipment going to be here on time and can you get it released? And also, there's release issues that you have to factor in as well, whether you have a VAT number or not. And if you don't, you have to get a VAT exempt form in order to clear it out of shipping. So there's a number of other things that you're looking into from a Balanced Body point of view, whereas Align Pilates, you don't have any of that because it's UK sort of owned and operated, and they're here in their UK warehouses and they take care of all of that side. So things to look at there. Oh, here we go. We've got some feedback as well. This is good. So Rachel, let's bring you up. Customer service and support has been really good. So this is from Rachel. She went with an Align for her home studio. And this is really good feedback as well. The after purchase support, aftercare support, it can be really terrible with Balanced Body, in my opinion. I'm only talking about my opinion here, nothing against Balanced Body. But I would say that, it's really good to hear that Align Pilates, and I think that will come with them being a UK company, that you probably get that support, Rachel. So thank you for adding that in on that side. Because that is one other thing, actually, if there's any of you guys out there that have Balanced Body machines or other machines, we've at times got quite frustrated that, even just get a couple of replacement springs. I have to order it in from the US, and then I've got shipping charges on that. It can take me however many weeks just to get a few replacement springs or ropes or other parts. So just, again, this isn't something we're doing. Just be interested having this opportunity to talk directly to you. On the product side of our business, we've also been wondering whether we should start to get some of these small pieces of equipment in. So if you want to replace some springs, you can do that much easier. Some of the other, the boxes that go on the machines, they're not necessarily machine specific. So, maybe there's some of the other things. We're not interested in doing the big, large equipment. It's a bit beyond us, unfortunately. We would love to. But maybe some of the smaller accessories and smaller parts is something that we could potentially look at providing for members. So give us a shout out if you think that's of any value to any of you guys as well. All right, so questions. Question from Iona. Did I say that correctly? Iona? I think.
Joanna.
Joanna, thank you. You've got on here, what would you advise someone who has not yet passed the exams, just finished the courses, but is totally looking forward to do so and start her own business? Okay, great. Have you come through the comprehensive pathway or the rehab pathway? Which pathway have you come through?
The comprehensive courses.
Okay, awesome. Very good. Well, first of all, I would say that the guys coming through the comprehensive pathway, one of the things I've been super impressed about is the preparation coming into the exam phase, that you guys have done really, really well on that side. So there's a couple of things that I would suggest. One, sometimes a lot of our members aren't familiar or aware of the fact that you can book an exam prep session with us. That can either be done live, or we can even do it live stream as long as you've got somebody to work on. And that is a service that we have, that we can take you through a 1 or 2 hour exam prep session where we sort of just go over any queries or questions about the exercise that you have. The other thing is utilize the group. Certainly when you come through that comprehensive pathway, the guys have their own WhatsApp group set up. So if there's anyone near you that you can share some practice time with, that's always very good as well. Of course, going through the actual teaching, family, friends, whoever can help you out, and just putting yourself in that exam type position that you're teaching and pretending that, okay, this is where we're going to be having a look at it either in real time or via the video exam. But the key things to work on is just understanding that teaching sort of ethos we have, where you name the exercise, demonstrate the exercise, teach the exercise. And if you go through the repertoire, really focusing on that concept, then that will go very well for you in relation to how we mark the exams. Confidence as well. One of the things that we do see in the exams is that sometimes people can be a bit robotic in their teaching, a bit rote learning in their teaching, which can go against them because we're looking at people, we're saying, okay, are you giving a good experience to your client? Are they enjoying the session, not just the technicalities of it? So voice control, when you're doing something more refined, it's a more focused voice. When you're getting them to work harder, we want to see that energy in the voice. And so, of course, it's easy for us to say, but just trying to be relaxed and planned in the way that you teach. Enjoy it. Treat it as a session where you're teaching the client, not so much an exam that somebody's looking at. But I think they're probably the key things. Of course, you need to know the repertoire. You need to know how to make things easier, how to make it more difficult. But most importantly, plan the session well, practice the session out. And then when you come to your exam, just try to forget about whether it's live and with a person watching you or whether it's a video submission with the camera there. Really go through making sure it's an actual teaching session, not just, an individual exercise after an individual exercise, so to speak.
Very helpful. For the moment, my husband says that I have progress in my teaching because he's the one that suffers for the moment. He's doing well, by the way. He's next to me.
Excellent. Love that.
Perfect. I hope I can meet you live one day. Unfortunately, I don't live in the UK, but
whereabouts are you based?
In fact, now I'm in Greece because I come from Greece. So it's our second day of vacation. So I'm on the beach. But we live in Luxembourg. So I did all the courses online. But hopefully, if you do a workshop, I can join you.
Oh, we'd love that. My gosh. Yeah. Good luck getting going in Luxembourg too. That sounds really exciting.
Yeah, I'm planning to do one-to-one classes for the moment in the room that we created a studio in our second room. Yeah, I totally destroyed the room to make the studio. And then let's see. Yeah, we will see.
Yeah, that's great.
How it goes.
That's excellent.
But I love it.
Yeah. Good.
I think I'm like I found you.
Oh.
Because I was in the verge of changing my career path, and then I said, why don't do Pilates, because I love Pilates, and then I found you. Yeah.
Wow, that's amazing. Well, how wonderful. Well, great to have you as part of our community. Do keep us posted, won't you?
Of course. Yeah, thank you very much.
Hopefully we'll meet one day.
Yeah, hopefully.
Yeah, and as we said, do let us know when you get off the ground in Luxembourg. Let us know. We love sharing stories of how all of our members in our community have got on, and stories like yours really inspire all of us, ourselves included.
Yeah, for sure. Let's hope I pass the exams first.
Yes, very true. I'm sure you will. Just prepare. You'll be fine. You'll be fine. There's some feedback on the chat there from Vicky as well. So Vicky, I appreciate your involvement there. Vicky did an exam prep session with Sarah Chambers and found it very valuable for her and really helped her to be prepared for the exam. So they can really help out to do keep that in mind. All right, let's just have a quick scan through. So guys, any of you guys that are on here, do feel free, just unmute yourselves, raise your hand, ask a question, or throw something in the chat there. Happy to answer anything. That's the goal of this morning, just to put ourselves out there. You can ask us anything you like. I'll go to the next question that we have here. And this was an interesting one from Paula. You were asking us about online.
Yeah, no, my question was, I done a wee Google survey with my clients in my group classes, and they all wanted some kind of online content built on our website. We have no online content and don't really do a lot of social media. The only recording equipment I have is a laptop, an iPad and an iPhone. So I'm just wondering where would be the best place to start, and any advice you could give me would be much appreciated.
Do you want to start this from?
All right, so there's probably two ways, or a few ways to look at this question, Paula. So I'm going to answer this question, first of all, purely, you run your own business, correct, Paula?
I'm part of a business, so it's a clinical business and Pilates on top of that. So I lead up the Pilates side of stuff for the business.
Yeah, all right. Well, first thing that I will say to you is, first of all, if you're going to start something like an online service, make sure that there is the business demand there for it first, because a lot of times you're having people saying, oh, we really want this. And then you go to a lot of time and effort and money to develop a service, and then the actual take up maybe isn't as good, or the pricing maybe isn't what people thought it would be. And so I think the first thing from my point of view would just really find out the business case for it. And is it going to be profitable and worthwhile from your point of view? Because online content, there's so much out there now, and there's so many different options and choices. And a lot of the time it can be delivered very, very cheaply. And that becomes hard from a business point of view. How do you actually compare that? Because, you know, during the pandemic, everything went online, right? And so an enormous amount of people that maybe weren't offering online services then reverted to online. A lot of people started giving stuff away free, which made it very hard for business owners to actually continue to support their staff and pay people. And, you know, we moved to online as well. It wasn't really a very, enormously profitable thing for us. We had to do it in order to support our staff and our teachers and keep trying to pay people. But the whole, from my point of view, the whole environment of those online services became really challenging when it all started being given away free. When you're trying to develop a valued service, you believe in your service, that becomes somewhat challenging. So sometimes as a business owner, one of the hardest things to do is to say no to requests from our clients. And you really just have to go away and look at the numbers, maybe look at, maybe you develop it and put it to your clients. Okay, this is what we're looking at doing. This is going to be the cost. This is how many times per week you might be able to access it, etc. The actual filming, delivery, that side of it can be done very, very easily, actually, and very cheaply, and it doesn't have to be a huge expense, but it is still time and there is still cost, and you want to make sure that that's worthwhile from your point of view. And especially if it's a case that you might be employing other people to deliver some of the online content, you have to factor all of that into your pricing and your profitability and your business model a little bit as well. You can probably add more on to that.
Yeah. Well, what sort of thing are the clients asking for?
They're asking for like pre-recorded classes, varying in times from like 15 minutes to half hour to 45 to an hour classes.
Yeah.
And some ask like a little video library of like basic exercises, like say abdo preps or bridges, just stuff like that. But I don't want to start something that isn't worthwhile, because I've got other ideas that I would like to have going as well. So just making sure where I would like to be, it's going to be the best for me and the best for the business.
I think that, yeah, and that you're right to question that. As Glenn touched on, people certainly don't expect to pay a lot of the time for online content now, because that sort of just became the norm during the pandemic, didn't it? So that's difficult because it costs you to spend the time preparing and filming a class, and depending on how quick you are or not. If you're like me, it takes ages to figure out how to upload it and brand it and all of that. So it is a tricky one. I wonder if maybe it might be more economical to look at doing perhaps periodically like a special class online. And it could even be recording of a class that you're doing if the participants are happy with it, or you can set it up accordingly, to get a bit of a feel for it and see how it goes, before sort of, yeah, investing too much time and money in it to start with. Because you could do like Glenn said, I mean, I film, if I'm doing that type of thing, like a Pilates day class or a masterclass, I film it on my iPhone. People often say to me, oh, wow, what equipment do you use? I've got a very basic sort of ring iPhone holder light, my iPhone, and that's it. And then we upload to either Vimeo or YouTube, and then I link it from my website. That's when it's not much, you know, there's no charge for people to do that if it's on YouTube. Obviously, if it's on Vimeo, you can control, and they have to pay before getting access to it. Yeah, so that could be another way around it, just looking at doing it periodically first of all and seeing if you get much take up.
Yeah, good. So I've got some good additions there in the chat as well. Emma shared that she combined her online content with memberships for the in-person classes, and had a big uptake because clients can top up their Pilates over the week with similar classes, which is a good idea, something we've done in the past as well. Vicky has added there that she records and uploads to YouTube, but only shares with clients when they ask, and has also done some shorter videos and specific sessions. So I think if we go back to the mechanics as well of the question you've asked, just on that side, the process can actually be done very cheaply and very easily, Paula. So as Lee said, if you've got a pretty up-to-date iPhone, or I'm sure other brands are the same, the camera quality is pretty good. I think the thing mainly is to work out sound, how to make your sound work well. We use Load mics for some of our recording that we do in the studios. Can be as simple as AirPods as well, as long as they don't fall out your ears, which is a problem I have. But if you use the AirPods when you're filming, it cuts out all the background noise, and the sound quality is much, much better. So, a simple way is iPhone. The stand that Elisa uses, that she spoke about, again, they're not expensive. You can get them off Amazon. It's just a tripod. It has a circle. The phone sits in the middle, and the circle lights up, and that just gives you a little bit more framing and lighting around the content as well. And then from your phone, it's the download process that basically you have to figure that out. So you need good internet, because where we are right now, sometimes it can take us about 4 hours to upload something. So we often have to do that when we're down in the offices. But upload it either to Dropbox if it's a very long file, and then you can link that through to Vimeo. Or if it's not as much, you can put it straight through to Vimeo. So we use Vimeo as our sort of hosting service, if you like, for the majority of our content. There's a cost to that, but the benefit is you can control it. You can control who accesses it. You can create passwords for it. So you can give lengths of time that people can access videos as well. So you're in a lot more control of what you're doing on that side versus, and you can put parameters around it on YouTube, and maybe there's benefits of YouTube as well. Building a YouTube channel is, maybe something to be considered as well.
filmed it on your phone, you can then just upload it straight from your phone to YouTube. That's great. And then if you've got your website, you can create we have an events page, and we just make a listing of any new class or new masterclass that we've done on YouTube. And then when advertising it on socials or on eShots, we put the link to our website. So you're driving people to your website. They'll see what they're after, but they also might then be interested in having a look at what else is on your website. On your website, view now or book now, and it takes them straight to YouTube. So it can be straightforward. You just want to factor in, timing for filming and how much time you've got to devote to that.
All right, cool. So thank you again for that, Paula. Gail's given us some feedback here. She uses a closed Facebook group and shares her short videos of stretches and exercises there, which has been well received by her clients. So I think there's a couple of things that are interesting here that almost revert right back to the very first question we had today as well. And that's just continuing to look at value and what your clients get from you and what the value is on that side as well, which is something possibly to consider in relation to the online content side of things. All right, look, we're almost out of time here. So I think we've got one more question here, unless anyone wants to put something forward on the chat or unmute themselves before we finish up. Oh, I think Vicky, yes. Hey, Vicky.
Hi, Vicky.
Thank you for Vicky's question to come through there.
While you're waiting, can I just quickly say hi? I've learned to unmute. So I just actually wanted to say hello. It's Aisha. Pleased to meet you both.
Yeah, we can see you and hear you.
Oh, hi, Aisha. Lovely to meet you.
And you, while you're waiting anyway.
Yeah, lovely to meet you. And thank you for your lovely communications on Instagram. It's nice to hear from you.
I've only just kind of started and I don't know anything about social media. So for me, I just keep it authentic.
Oh,
Yeah.
you're doing great. Your pictures are wonderful. They're great. I love seeing your classes.
Good. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. This is great, by the way.
Oh,
Thank
good,
you.
good.
I think that's
I will unmute now. Okay.
probably the one thing we do get asked semi-regularly about from the whole Instagram side. And I think the biggest tip I can give, I'm no Instagram expert at all, but in just regularity of content, I think keeping it real, keeping it honest is a brilliant way to utilize social media and not trying to put across anything that isn't real. I read one of the things I saw on Instagram once. I was like, oh, this makes me so frustrated. I think it was somebody put on, do this stretch 3 times a day and you can grow 5 inches in 3 months. I was like, no, you can't. That's not real. Unless you're talking about somebody that was 12 when they started and now is 15 maybe. But that's just not true. Anyway, so Vicky, I have moved and my demographic is different. I have a variety of needs on my classes and I would be interested in class plans that can meet the needs of them with adaptations included. All right, so Vicky, I hope that as a member, you've been on to the new members section that we have here, and we've got loads of class plans on there now. It's one of the things that we've worked really hard at doing, and it's access to those of you that are in that higher membership tier, the devotee level, that you can get access to a enormous amount of class plans that are on there. If you go on there and you have a look through those class plans, and maybe there's a particular class type or demographic, as you've said here, that you would like us to develop a class plan or a couple of class plans for, then we would love to do that. And that's from all of you guys. One of the things we're really working hard with the members area is to make it as interactive with our community as we can and give you that value added content that maybe you can't get in other places. So Vicky, have a look get onto your members area. And for those of you that are here and you haven't found the time to get onto the new members area, please do. It's really cool. We've put an enormous amount of work into it, and we're continuing to make sure that the membership is as value based as we can get it. So we've got lots of class plans on there, lots of videos, all of Elisa's stuff that you might have seen on Instagram and on other places is on the members area. So try to get on there, have a look at those class plans, Vicky, see if that helps you. And if the particular demographic or type of class isn't there, shoot us in a request and we can try to develop that for you and put it onto the members area there as well. All right. Cool. Vicky, hopefully that addresses some of that for you. Thank you for your contribution as well. Guys, from Paula, best contact is through the Institute. So through the info@appihealthgroup.com. And the guys are very good at sending that on to either Elisa or myself. So, it is a real commitment of ours to engage with our members as much as we can. The idea of this was to, get the ball rolling, to let you guys know that we don't want to be, faceless in the background. We want to be connected with you guys, provide the content you want. So shoot us in those questions when you can. Let us know about some of those different things that we spoke about today. If they'd be interested to you, then they can sort of be pushed up the agenda item a little bit. But I think that's probably us for this morning.
Yeah, thank you so much for joining, everyone, and genuinely for all of your thoughts and your comments. Your feedback is much appreciated, and please do just keep forwarding us your thoughts and feedbacks and suggestions, because it really helps us to keep shaping APPI in the way that it meets our community's needs. So thank you so much for coming and for all of your involvement. We really appreciate it.
Thanks all. Have a good day. Have a good week.
Thanks,
We'll see you soon.
everyone. Bye. Thank you.